the residents down there for willing to work with everybody in relation to trying the raised crosswalks first. But again, I don't want to lose the opportunity in relation to the study that we've paid for and having the necessary warrants to apply for the exclusion. So, I too would like to see something simultaneously done. I would strongly consider the more portable raised crosswalks, which again, if it doesn't work, as Mr. Mills was pointing out, which creates a black eye for the situation, it's something that's much less costly to pick up and remove. And something from a maintenance standpoint in the wintertime, if we do the permanent type raised crosswalks, I can't imagine that there isn't some damage done to those things as we're plowing them.
They'll get nicked
Over here, so there's going to be some maintenance issues going forward. So, to me, let's take a look at these portable ones. Spend a little more money, and if we can use the road funds for that type of an expenditure, and I think it's appropriate because it has to do with roads. Let's do it. And if it works, they work. That's great. If they don't, we pick them up. And we may want to try it somewhere else.
I'm not in support of the portable ones. I'm not. I just think they're going to continue to have problems with them, and Dick's going to continue to have people going down there to fix them. And I think if we spend the money and do the right thing and have these put in by a contractor that is certified to do these and understands how to do them, I think we're better off.
What problems do they? I wasn't aware of the problems with the portable.
Well, I think I'm very familiar with them. Okay, on military bases I worked on, in some places, especially in remote areas where we've gone and installed military bases and remote places all over this world, we've tried to use these things and get more than one bid, get multiple bids, and let's see what those real costs come out with. In the meantime, we should get you the answer to Mr. Yule's question and Mr. O'Leary's question: is how long will our study be valid to be used towards the truck exclusion if we ended up going that way? I don't want to keep kicking this thing down the road, but we have to come to some closure on it. But I also don't think we have done our due diligence as a town. I think the cost of these, I don't think this is accurate. I'm not a specialist, but I also like to get 3 bids. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. That's the responsibility of your department, it's the responsibility of the town.
Mike, it was competitively bid under Chapter 30B. And I was asked to get one quote. I gave you one quote. No one has to get multiple bids. I would have been glad to do it if I was asked that.
I'm still struggling here with more basic issues here, right? Whether the cost of this is $20,000 or $30,000 or $10,000 at this point, right? I'm having difficulty digesting whether or not this is the right path to go on, whether there's really a benefit of it, whether or not we could do one in a specific location to get some sense of whether it can work or not, or whether we'll really never get it to work unless we have the 3. I think 3 have been proposed. I mean, I'm struggling with that, not so much the cost of it, or even which technology to use. It's more or less, and maybe you can't answer the question until you go do it. I mean, that may be.
I think that's
that may be the struggle.
I had the same thoughts as you did, Mr. Chairman, but to me, there was a well-attended residents meeting of the people who were definitely affected by this, and I believe there was a full airing of the potential for more noise, and the slowing down and acceleration of the trucks, the very trucks that they don't like the Jake brakes on, and the throatiness of the trucks slowing down and speeding up and all the rest. So, I mean, it appears to me from what the chief and Mike represented of that meeting that it was well represented. The residents are well aware of the pitfalls associated with the raised crosswalks, what it may cause from a noise standpoint. And believe me, I lived on Route 28 in Reading for 3 years. The first night I spent there was in a summer night, and I fell out of bed because it's a concrete highway, the old Route 28 is, and an empty truck came through. I literally fell out of bed. What the heck is that? Because I didn't grow up in an area that had that kind of noise. So empty trucks make a lot of noise going over bumps. But if they're aware of it and they're willing to try it, okay. let's try and do it, and if it mitigates the issue and the problems there, then it's worth it. But by the same token, I want to see the timeline associated with the study that we did, how long the warrants are good for, the results.
There is no answer for that.
Well, there must be. If we had data, if we decide 2 years from now to say, we just did the study 2 years ago, is the state going to say it's good or not good? I mean, they must be able to give some indication.
There's no real standard for it,
Well, there
unfortunately.
may
But
be not.
obviously, older
Well,
is
usually
less
when
good.
people commission a study like that and they get the numbers and the warrants, they're going to take some action. You're not doing the study for nothing. So, to me, it should be timely. And I don't want to go 2-3 years down the road and they say, you have to spend another $8,000. And Mr. Prisco pointed out, it maybe deterred some of them just enough to put you below warrants, and you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So, if we need to simultaneously move forward with the truck exclusion, we can always, put the brakes, so to speak, on that. But at least we'll be moving forward and progressing in that direction while simultaneously. And I don't believe it's going to be a fast process.
I would suggest the following. It seems like the board is fully in support of providing relief to the neighborhood. And that the concept of putting 3 raised crosswalks in there, potentially, even though there may be a little more noise, but there may be less of a little more noise because we've reduced the number of trucks flowing down. I think that's the goal, right? What I would recommend is that if the board is in support of it, we ask the town administrator and Mr. Cannavelli to move forward with the project and to get 3 competitive quotes before proceeding with the project, and to take the money from the existing road and prioritize. We can't do everything on the list anyway, so prioritize what makes sense in terms of conditions of the other proposed areas that need work, and move ahead with this thing. Just get it done. Yes, Mr.
Chair.
Hughes.
Yeah, pretty much in agreement with what you're saying. I just have a concern that we're going down a path here that we might find ourselves in a position where we can't correct ourselves. If the truck exclusion can't be taken advantage of because we put in the speed bumps. I mean, we just need to make sure that we have the answer to that question before we put any speed risers. Put any speed risers in. We need that answer right away.
The residents they know that risk. They're here, they can speak for themselves.
Well, I'd like to hear it because I'm concerned.
They said that they were willing to take that risk and give this a shot because they don't want to go through that truck. I'm sorry. Get your hand up to stop me.
No, stop
okay.
you. I would never do that.
I'm sorry. They're willing to take the risk because they really are concerned about pushing their problem onto anybody else in this town, and I give them a lot of credit for that. So I know what you want. I know what you're looking for, but they're willing to do this. They're willing if this board will support it, they're willing to take it.
I just want them to get what they want. That's what I'm
they're willing
going
to take
through
the
my
risk
head.
because they
that
feel
ultimate
strongly
goal.
about this option for raised crosswalks will really get them to. There's no 100% solution. They know that does not exist. 100% solution does not exist out there for them, but they feel that this is probably the best solution for the least amount of money and the least amount of trouble for everybody.
I'd like for one of the whoever the representative for them to come forward and give their expression.
Delaney wants that question.
Mr. Delaney.
Can I say, I'm in agreement with Steve. I don't understand why, and I go back to what I've said multiple times now. Let's proceed forward with both. If we get the truck exclusion, we don't have to implement it if the speed bumps work. If the bumps don't work, well, we're still entitled to the
That's right.
to the exclusion.
We don't know that. That's the problem. That's what my concern is.
But
we don't know that. That answer has to be given.
If it doesn't reduce the traffic flow, we're going to still have the same number of trucks that we had under the study. So it's not going to impact that. And I don't want to see us waste the $7,000 and have to do a new study if these speed bumps don't work. We need to proceed forward. We can't get a steel study.
If we impose the truck exclusion and it cuts the traffic down, you can at some point remove the speed bumps too, or 1 or 2 of them.
That means you're gonna have to have hearings, though. You know that. If we go through, we're gonna still have the hearings here, and, then this can turn into a lot larger issue than.
No, I understand what you're
That's
saying.
one of the other reasons why we like this raised crosswalk ideas. We don't have to have a hearing to make that decision.
Well,
The
I
board
say-
has the power to do that.
I'm not afraid of a hearing.
I'm not fearful of a hearing either.
Okay.
They've
But these,
identified an issue down in that area that we're, based upon the study, we can proceed forward with a truck exclusion.
I just want to make sure you understood what the concerns were of the resident.
I'm aware, because it seems like we have conflicting research that was done by a DPW director and a chief of police in terms of whether it's going to reduce the flow of truck traffic if we have the speed bump. So I don't want to have this study that we've done be a waste of taxpayer dollars either.
Good
So
points.
proceed with both. It seems to be the only real solution, in my opinion.
sir,
Doug Lab, 130 Chestnut Street. I was here at the last meeting and had made the conversation as part of the smaller group here, but a larger group that was at the meeting with the chief. When we first came to start the process, was to eliminate the trucks, both for speed, for safety, for noise, for health, and the list goes on as you sort of go down the street and ask more people. Those were sort of the core areas, but speed and the trucks with the noise and the safety were the biggest concerns on that list. We asked you folks, you gave us the study, and the study showed that we have a lot of trucks on that street. We want to move forward with the truck exclusion. We got to go to a meeting with the chief. He gave us an alternative that might allow us to reduce the number of trucks on our street just by the fact that they don't want to deal with those raised sidewalks, and that we don't have to push the problem to our neighbors. Is there a likelihood of louder noise as these trucks slow down to stop and start on each one? Yes, and being the neighbor of one of those crosswalks right in front of my house, I am fully aware of that. But I think as a group, we all agreed with what the chief was proposing to us, and we were willing to go with that route. I don't know if the truck exclusion is a fight that you want or we want. If it is a no crosswalks, you guys can't do that, it's not something that's going to be put into the budget, then yes, we're going to go for the truck exclusion, and that's what we'll seek. If we can just get the crosswalks, we're fine for now tabling the truck exclusion so we don't push that to our neighbors, wherever that problem will surface itself. I don't know, and this would be another question, and I'm surprised I asked the question standing here 3 weeks ago. What's the timetable on this? There's still no answer. I don't know who else to ask. Tell me who to ask and I'll find out before the next meeting. I'm capable of doing that. I just need to know who am I supposed to ask that has this study that can tell me how long it's good for. The other question that I would put on that, and I don't know where I sort of got it from. I don't know if I got it from Nate or from the chief or from you, but somebody put it in my head that we can't do both at the same time. That the study, that if we go to the state to ask for a truck exclusion, if we are going to be putting crosswalks in on that street, the raised crosswalks, they'll deny us because now the road is different and they're going to say you don't need the truck exclusion. So to do both at the same time isn't possible. It's do the raised crosswalks and see if it works, and if it doesn't, rip them up, do another traffic study and hope that we can do it, or do the truck exclusion. We're willing to take that risk at the time because we feel, based off of what the chief and all of us sat in that room, and it was pretty much the entire stretch of road. It was every resident was either there or was aware of the meeting and got information about it and made the decision to go with the raised crosswalks.
Including Moynihan Lumber has also supported that.
And yeah, Moynihan and the residents right around that as well. I accurately depict that.
Yeah. It was me that was the one that, so
Yeah.
we won't get it.
So
I mean, I think
I think for us though, it's more a matter of we're running out of time to find out whether or not this is something that can be done this year.